Welcome to the EV Ready podcast, featuring industry leaders and their perspectives on electrification, hosted by EV Ready Energy. Hey everybody, welcome to the EV Ready podcast. I'm grateful to have on today Paul Nie, CEO of AISPEX. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to join the podcast.
Thank you, Chris, to have me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for a little bit of context, I met Paul about 6 months ago and was introduced to his company about a year ago, and was just really enthused and interested in the vision and everything that they were looking into, because I kind of view it as the future of energy in the United States. And so, with that being said, I wanted to first question I wanted to ask you was a little bit about like the motivation for you. I think, Paul, you're a serial entrepreneur. Hearing a little bit about your background, what you've done previously, what motivated you to start the company, and what the name of the company represents to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. The name is AISPEX, AISPEX, means Advanced Integrated System for Power Exchange. So I'm a long time IEEE and the IEEE PSE member. So I like the name like Power Exchange. So then I put Advanced Integrated System in front of that. So make the name AISPEX.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about your background. You were an entrepreneur. You started companies before. You started AISPEX. Why did you start it? And what was your history before that?
Yeah, I started AISPEX in 2019. Before and after that, I still run several other business. So one of them is nationwide LED lighting company, where we manufacture and sell lighting, in the entire U.S. We have get involved in energy management service contract. So that's how I get involved a lot with the energy. On the other side, I also have several other manufacturing companies produce major IT and power, the components for the power equipment and the IT equipment. So I get involved a lot with the manufacturing world. Then when the EV starts picking up, I saw a lot of a challenge there in that space. So I was trying to find how to leverage my resources and my expertise to address some of the biggest challenges in the e-mobility sector.
Yeah. It's interesting. We see a lot of like the energy efficiency in the lighting world coming to the charging space. But obviously, I think like your unique component of it is tied to this energy management piece, which I'm excited to talk about here. So can you talk to us a little bit about some of the major issues facing the United States utility grid right now and how AISPEX is looking to address those issues?
Yeah, I think the U.S. utility grid has been, really built decades ago. There was not too much infrastructure updates on the entire grid infrastructures. So that affects its reliability, efficiency, and ability to keep up with the growing energy demand.
It's a challenge right now. We always tell everybody reliability, sustainability, and economics. That's kind of like the three things that I think companies like yours are trying to focus on and solve the problem. And in a second, I'm going to ask you about Texas. Hey, an additional question for you. So I know you guys believe in open standards. Talk to us a little bit about open standards and why you feel that's important as we sort of scale, this new Grid 2.0 across the United States. And it doesn't have to be just charging. It can be anything related to open standards. But talk to us a little bit about why that's important to you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. My background, I came from the world of testing, inspection, and the certification. I used to be the senior executive for one of the largest TIC companies in the world. And also I used to also one of the co-founder of another testing, inspection, certification company, where we also grow to be a major player in this sector. So I was have participated a lot of new standards over last 2 decades in my career. So open standards are very, very important to make sure a fair, efficient, and innovative ecosystem across the industry in the U.S. I think a couple of ways that you can eliminate that. For example, the open standard will make things working together. That will make sure different system, different devices, and the technology that can work together smoothly, no matter who made them. Or like in our world of the energy, EV charging, EV chargers and the vehicles from different companies, they can work together if they follow open standards like the CCS. That's one of the typical, example. And also the open standard can, boost innovations, right? That's in energy storage, we have open standards like Modbus and open ADR that will allow different companies create energy management systems to work together. It will also cut costs. So otherwise, if everybody is working on their own, the cost can be really high. It will be very siloed in each specific area, right? So for example, utilities and energy companies can use open standards like IEEE 2030 for smart grids. That's going to cut costs when they integrate new technology. Also, the open standards support growth, right? So for the EV chargers, we make it possible for networks to work together across the country to support, the growth on the electrification with the open standards. That's my takeaway for the open standard, especially in the EV market. Like OCPP is another good example. Let consumers use any charging stations without worrying about compatibilities.
Yeah, it's definitely something that like in Europe, they had to move towards more quickly, obviously, with the fragmentation of Europe, but is a larger problem in the United States that I think the US is still trying to solve it from a software perspective, from a maintenance perspective, but it certainly is, the way of the future, no doubt about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know, you're headquartered in Texas. Texas is a unique beast tied to energy management, obviously, with the way that they control their energy markets. And so can you talk a little bit about what AISPEX has done within Texas to try and participate in some of their energy programs that exist?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We live in Texas. I moved to Texas since 2013. So it's like my second hometown now. I like the way how it works here, especially in the energy market. ERCOT has a very open system. It's the deregulated market. Deregulated market allows you to, the new companies like AISPEX to participate into the open market. It's much, much different from the regulated market. So Texas is like its own country in terms of the size of the business and also in terms of the whole entire system. ERCOT is totally separate from Eastern and the West grid interconnections. So that's created all these opportunities for AISPEX to play in the ground. So first is independent. So it's most likely different from any others, but also it is open. So that's the advantage. So AISPEX got our retail electrical provider license few months ago. So that's a big step we took in 2024. That's going to allow us to participate in the grid market with our advantage of combining the solar power generations, EV charging, but more important, supported by the energy storage systems. So this will allow us not just serving the loads, serving the demands, but also allow us to serve the grid as do the demand response, do the ancillary service as a QSE or LSE. That's a total game changer in this industry.
Yeah, and just to say it another way for listeners who aren't as involved in the industry, Texas has chosen to be energy independent by not being tied to the electric grid in different parts of the United States, the eastern part of the United States, the western part of the United States. And so hypothetically they could secede and become their own country. So that's how Texas is set up today. And then ERCOT, which Paul mentioned, they're called independent service operator. They're responsible for providing supply to the grid and maintaining balance within that grid. And then they work with the utilities, which are like construction companies, to deliver that energy. And what's unique about ERCOT is they allow companies like AISPEX to not only use electricity, but push electricity back on the grid using battery solutions, charging solutions, whatever the case may be. And those are called demand response programs where companies can get paid for not only using the grid, but also throwing power back on the grid when need be. And so I just want to give everyone like a quick summary in case people weren't familiar with like demand response. So Paul, my next question for you is like, you just kind of explained, your technology, and how it's able to participate in Texas and other states as well. But Texas is just a really good example because it's sort of leading the country from a energy independence perspective. When I came across your company about a year ago, what I was really interested in was you had a few unique solutions that were just different. You have some solutions that might look and feel similar to some customers, but then you have some products that feel very different, and they're in many cases focused around battery storage and the ability to not only charge, but to be able to discharge and to be able to utilize batteries to do so. So tell us a little bit about what you're most excited to unveil. CES is next week. Tell us about your product line and what you're excited to show people.
Yeah, I think for us, most exciting is about our virtual power plant solutions. We have developed a very sophisticated software to control all the decentralized energy resources, the DERs, that will enable not just selling the power to the end user, but also provide a service to the grid. So our solution is aiming to the growth of the EV charging demand that will have become the bottleneck for the interconnections for the load growth. So we help the commercial industry building owners or the property owners that they can provide the EV charging service without upgrading their facility. That's the basic philosophy of this whole idea. So VPP is the key. That's also our major advantage based on the hardware you have seen last year. And this year, we are providing more comprehensive software controlling this. I think that's the first, the biggest thing. And the second is about, as I mentioned, we already got IEP license in Texas. That's enabling us to provide a lot of more comprehensive service to not just the commercial industrial applications, but also to the residentials and the homeowners. So these are the two of the biggest most exciting things for us to be announced at the CES.
Awesome. And yeah, I think the solution you're providing is going to help grid economics, grid sustainability, and grid resiliency. And that's a huge part of our future. And I think people are going to be really excited because right now people don't think about the grid that way. Like the average person doesn't think about these things. They just think about, are my lights on or off? But this is going to become an opportunity for everybody. I'm definitely excited to hear what you have to say. Last question for you, Paul. EV Ready is going to be partnering in AISPEX and AISPEX's booth. Talk to us a little bit about what led you to choose EV Ready Energy as your partner tied to these new products that you're announcing.
Yeah, I think, Chris, we met a few months ago, but your team and yourself has a really strong reputation in the industry. Your background in the EV world and also your connections to the EV OEMs is a really strong aspect for us to work together. That's how I decided to invite you and your team to participate in the booth. You are the only technology provider side to join the booth. We have also two other partners, to showcase our applications there. But those are, one of them are the real estate developer. Another one is the EV car racing company that are providing a very unique technology. So these are more on the application side. So you are the only one that we decide to want to join us as a technology provider because we see the value, your strong industry reputation, and we share the same vision for the sustainable future. That's through our discussions and the conversations over the last few months.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to see your technology and then show people how they can utilize our technology to do those three things, which is make their utility grid more economic, more resilient, more sustainable, and make it beneficial to them. So, Paul, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining the podcast, and we will talk soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think CES will provide great opportunities for your team and our teams to, spend quite a lot of time together in the 4 days of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.